All right, Clair Obscur review. Let's get into it. I heard this game was highly reviewed.
It's one thing to wear your influences on your sleeve, and it's another to wield those influences to create something that can confidently stand on its own merits. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is explicitly built on many of the ideas of the great modern and classic Japanese RPGs, and French developer Sandfall isn't shy about it, nor should it be.
Felt familiar somehow.
From the bold stylings of its magnificent turn-based combat to the melodramatic but genuine storytelling tropes it largely embraces, so much of Clair Obscur feels familiar, yet refreshing. Its superb execution on those ideas puts its own stamp on them for one of them somber but hopeful journeys I won't soon forget.
Expeditioners. The Sword of Lumiere. We honor your dedication.
Clear greatness, okay.
In Clair Obscur, the people of Lumiere live in a fractured reality. Every year, a godlike figure they call the Paintress marks a number on a tower far off in the distance, counting down the age at which people will perish into nothingness. You lead the survivors of the latest in a series of annual expeditions.
So I'd be cooked. I'm 34. I just turned 34. I'd be cooked already.
That set sail in hopes of destroying the Paintress, none of which have ever come back despite decades of attempts.
Know that Lumiere stands with you.
It's a harrowing premise that hangs a heavy layer of melancholy over the entire story. Knowing that your people are fighting against their own extinction by signing up for a death march, facing unknown dangers, and picking up the pieces left behind by expeditions long gone, it's easy to become invested in their fate and the mysteries that dictate their world.
We're the only ones left. You don't get to die.
I finished the main story and a decent amount of side content in about 35 hours, and that length speaks to how Clair Obscur doesn't waste a moment. There isn't really any filler along the critical path, and it doesn't get bogged down in drawn-out exposition.
You're alive!
I like that.
I thought I was the only one.
At this point in my life, I want games that just get to the point. Don't waste my time. Don't disrespect my time. I'm a grown-ass man. I pay bills. I got other things going on. Give me my 20, 30-hour RPG, and let's get the hell out of here. Stop putting so much fluff in these games. I'm talking to you, games like Rebirth, and if you know, you know.
Some of my favorite moments in RPGs come from the downtime that offers a chance to breathe and take in the world. There's an embedded urgency here that cuts to the chase in a way that mostly works in its favor. I love a good 80-hour RPG, don't get me wrong, but this is a nice change of pace.
Let's go. Someone lives here.
Because of that relatively shorter length, the sharpness of Clair Obscur's combat system never dulls. The Persona vibes from its slick battle menu and stylish
Brian got no arm. I ain't peeped that.
But more prominent is its active element. Real-time button inputs boost potency in special attacks and let you dodge and parry enemy attacks, which works wonders for making fights engaging.
I like that.
Against tougher enemies, you don't really stand a chance unless you're paying close attention to visual and audio cues for dodges and parries and establishing a rhythm. The initial trial and error of learning attack patterns will be frustrating at times, but when I'm locked in like it's Sekiro, there's an intensity here I don't think I've ever felt in a turn-based RPG. And there's nothing quite like the rewarding slow-motion camera cut and emphatic counterattack of a precisely timed parry.
Ooh!
Every party member has their own specific mechanics that typically revolve around building up their unique resource in battle and managing action points, or AP, to execute the more heavy-hitting attacks. Their skill trees are concise, so Clair Obscur is still approachable in that you're only given a handful of tools and then are asked to have a strong grasp of how they work, with the emphasis on meeting certain conditions and inflicting specific knock-on effects to make the most of when you're lining up attacks. It reminds me of mechanics that you'd see in a CRPG, but fine-tuned for a classic-style Japanese RPG. The way their skill sets can synergize and play off of each other also shows an understanding of what makes a turn-based system sing. You may establish a routine opener, but as a fight goes on, it becomes more about adapting to all the variables thrown at you and earning the satisfaction of pulling off your most powerful attacks. Then there's another layer called Pictos. These attachments offer game-changing stat boosts and perks that drastically affect how you can gain AP, the bonuses you get from dodges and parries, or the way status effects work, and more. Using Pictos for long enough eventually allows you to stack their perks in what are called Lumina, and really build a character in ways their skill tree cannot. Navigating these menus is kind of a pain since things get messy once you're sifting
it looks
through
very
50
cluttered.
plus options packed in a tight screen. But when it all clicked, taking the time to configure my party was well worth the hassle. Setting the right loadout elevated my party in ways that were crucial for the most challenging fights. My biggest worry early on was actually that Clair Obscur was going to be too easy as I steamrolled almost every enemy for roughly the first third of the main path. It definitely ramps up as it—
I feel like, yeah, with new RPGs, I feel like that's kind of always the case. Like, if you're a seasoned veteran of RPGs, you're gonna run through. It's gonna be a certain part of the game where you run through it, you know, especially early on, or like when you start getting your abilities, and then towards the end, that's when it ramps up. So I kind of understand what he's saying with that.
It goes on, however, weaving in more creative enemy attack patterns and doing more with status effects or enemy shields, for example, pushing me to try out new approaches with my party. That provides depth while staying concise, and if you're clever enough, you're even allowed to break the game, so to speak, as its systems let you scale up in a way that's rewarding rather than exploitative. All that is to say, I played these kinds of RPGs my entire life, and I'm confident in saying that it's one of my favorite turn-based combat systems ever. It has room to grow, but it's a brilliant start.
All that. They parried all of that. Stupid. Into the great unknown.
There's something very old school about Clair Obscur, and its overworld is one of the clearest ways in which it harkens back to classic RPGs. The map is filled with optional locations and secrets, many of which aren't accessible until you unlock new travel methods, similar to getting chocobos and airships in the Final Fantasy games of yore. It's actually really charming, embracing its video gamey aspects while knowing it doesn't have to always take itself so seriously. Distant landmarks create a sense of wonder, and eventually you can go visit them to fight super bosses or play silly minigames for unique items or uncover a bit more about the story you wouldn't have seen otherwise. And that side content accounts for roughly another 20 hours of gameplay on top of the main story.
Okay. I love the art style. This is a beautiful
There's no real
game.
quest log, so there isn't an elegant way to track what you stumble upon, but rather than feeling obtuse, it gives the impression that these secrets are yours to discover in true throwback fashion. The main locations you visit function like dungeons where you fight your way along a fairly direct track with extra items tucked in nooks and crannies off the beaten path. You approach and hit enemies to initiate combat, and they respawn if you decide to replenish your health and items at flags planted by previous expeditions that function like checkpoints.
Okay, on some Souls-like shit.
In this regard, but it helps each of these main story sequences stay focused. For as linear as the main path can be, a minimap still would have been handy just to keep track of the alternate paths I've already gone down, because sometimes it's easy to get lost. It is a consolation that every place you visit is visually striking, whether it's the ethereal whimsy and natural beauty, or the brutality of the trenches and battlefields where bodies of past expeditioners are piled high. Regardless, I was often in awe of Clair Obscur's world.
For those who come after.
What really etches an RPG into the pantheon of greats, however, is always going to be its story. My heart was all in on Clair Obscur's themes of facing mortality, making sacrifices for future generations, and the different ways we handle grief.
I'm sorry about Arya.
This is another harrowing exploration of topics like this, for the way it contextualizes time and age, but also for its portrayal of grief becoming destructive to those around you, should it consume you. Its brevity does work against it at times, as the story shifts in sudden directions later on, but even then, it's consistently carried by an A-list cast. The acting and voice performances are incredible, with dialogue that plays out like natural real-life conversations.
I talked to the stars a lot after he was gone. I remember.
Small gestures, subtle expressions, and the cadence of line deliveries ground its characters for a story that feels as real as it is fantastical.
I didn't take you for a coward.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
Yes, I know.
Despite its deeply sad premise, it also manages to inject some levity that is largely charming rather than forced.
Get out of my way!
Jeez.
Silly wooden
What
guys
was
called
that,
gestrels
French?
occupy most of the continent,
Italian?
working as both comic relief and a lens to understand unknown parts of the world. Your party will goof with each other and share parts of their personal lives at camp, and while not all of it is riveting stuff necessarily, those brief moments are vital for rounding out the human element that this story channels.
Ooh, nice one.
I know.
Admittedly, there are moments in which Clair Obscur embellishes in its sorrow a bit too much. It perhaps gets a little overdramatic at times, but it's able to find its footing by evoking a very specific tone that leans heavier into what you'd expect more from a theater production than a Hollywood blockbuster. And from that perspective, playing out like a classical tragedy is an integral part of its identity.
We can't bring anyone back.
Yeah, I kind of see that theater element to it, just the way things are staged, the art style, the style of acting. It does seem it has like a theater's vibe to it, because you know how a lot of games they do the Oscar bait, you know, like the Marvel Spider-Mans and the Last of Us. This kind of takes the other approach where it's more like stripped down and like raw, and it feels more real. It feels more like you're just along for the ride rather than, okay, I'm watching some Oscar bait kind of movie. So that's dope.
But I thought we can keep
not
it.
To say the Oscar bait stuff is bad. I like it. Give me. I want a Last of Us 3, and I can't wait for that Spider-Man 3. But I'm just trying to give you a good reference point so you know what I'm talking about.
Spirit alive by pushing forward.
It feels like an expression of French art history at times, wearing its culture on its sleeve as an enticing artistic foundation. It's not just in the distinct Belle Epoque aesthetic or the French phrases characters use, but it's in the motifs that invoke theater, painting, dance, and music, which are woven into the very fabric of its fictional world, with music being the most powerful one.
Been a long time since I've seen you play.
Like every great RPG, an evocative soundtrack can uplift it to become a truly memorable experience, and Sandfall understood the assignment.
Hey. Oh.
There's almost too much good music that certain songs didn't get enough time to stick in my head, but at every turn are amazing songs that hype you up for battle, get you in a groove with catchy melodies, or set the tone for a wistful atmosphere. Clair Obscur's soundtrack is stunning and will be one of the reasons I won't forget this game.
The verdict.
In so many ways, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 reminded
probably
me
get
of
us a
numerous
9.
classic and modern RPGs I love, but developer Sandfall truly understood why those games are special and made those pieces its own. Its creative turn-based combat system is fantastic, keeping me engaged while impressive visual flourishes bring it all together. The story can be a touch messy and melodramatic at times, but there's still an earnestness to how it frames mortality and grief, and the different and destructive ways we may handle it, all delivered through fantastic performances from an A-list cast that gives its story the heart it needs to really hit. The contrast between its artistic sensibilities and old-school RPG design philosophy shows a clarity of vision, as if it was scoped just right to focus on the things that matter most, making it a true modern throwback. And so, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 stands strong alongside its inspirations, and I hope that it too can be an inspiration for those who come after.
9 out of 10.
Tom Marks, executive reviews.
Okay, I don't know why they be doing this discussion shit after, but I usually don't watch that. But yeah. So yeah, with this game, Clair Obscur, man, beautiful game, beautiful art style. The gameplay is very engaging, especially for a turn-based RPG with the dodges and the perfect attacks. It kind of takes all the elements from the best, like, old RPGs from back in the day and gives it like a modern twist. The story seems very interesting, where the deity counts down the days of how long humanity has to live. So apparently they have 33 years left to live, or something like that, something to that effect. I cannot wait to play this game. I think it's on Game Pass right now, and I think it's going to be in heavy contention for Game of the Year. The voice acting is dope. The graphics look dope. The gameplay mechanics look dope. The menu looked a little cluttered. If I had one critique, the menu did look a little cluttered, but I don't mind that too much. So that's that. But yeah, and the soundtrack too. I forgot to mention the soundtrack too. Look, is fire. Let's see if we got any reviews up. There's probably a bunch of reviews up by now since the game is out. I think it came out yesterday. Let's go to Metacritic. Clair Obscur 33 reviews. Damn, everybody loves this game. There's not even a divide. That's how you know when a game is fire. When the critic score and the media score is the same, that's how you know a game is fire. You gonna put it 0 and then write some bullshit in French. Let's see what this idiot wrote in French, because these are people that just want to see the world burn. These are people that just want to see the world burn. We'll see what this idiot said. Translate. These are people that just want to see the world burn. Hold on. Oh, whoops. You wrote a paragraph of nothing. No, the tech language, French. I had the game in preview. I was able to play about 25 hours. I would give my opinion after 25 hours of play. I find the game is not very good. The game mechanics, very poorly done. Graphics are not great. It's not that impressive. The story does not hold it. Makes no sense. I do not think that I will continue to play this game. I like the Final Fantasy much better. I find that this is better. So if you like Final Fantasy, why are you playing this game? Go play Final Fantasy. Go play Rebirth. Go play Remake. Go play Crisis Core. Go play 16. Go play 15. Like, this person didn't play no 25 hours. That's cap. You can no game. A game like this does not get a 0. You're tweaking. You're definitely tweaking. Let me see. Look, ones. Just weird people. Like, but yeah. Y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comments about this one. I'm definitely gonna be playing this. Definitely gonna be playing it when I get back to my streaming. In my streaming mode, I gotta finish up Astrobot first, and then I'm probably gonna do Assassin's Creed, and it's either gonna be this or Doom: The Dark Ages after that. So y'all let me know how y'all feel. All right, so you already know the vibes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's your boy JusticeXFalls, and we out. 1.